Hello and welcome to Journeys and Journals. I'm Bernie Martin Beck, and I get to talk to people who've lived around here for a long time, or who've lived a long time, or who have stories to tell about the way it was. Well, my guest today is all of the above. Meet Olive Watson. Welcome to Better Life TV.
Thank you.
Now, I've seen you around here before. You're a volunteer at this place, aren't you?
My husband is the volunteer.
And what does he do?
He's a camera operator.
Olive, he's a good camera operator. And you're volunteers at all kinds of places around town.
Well, we do Food for Friends.
What does that mean when you do Food for Friends?
Deliver meals to the people that are shut-ins. And I was just told by Jane Whaling, who is the promoter of this, that they're now having a waiting line because there's so many people that need food.
I hear what you're saying. Well, what jobs do you do there?
Well, I did deliver the meals.
Yes.
Until I broke my leg. 2000, when I was 97.
Okay, now.
And then I just go with Bill for company. I go to where they prepare the meals, and I told Kelly, who's our manager for the drivers, I said, Kelly, I don't do anything anymore. Well, she said, you're one of us. So she gives me a thing to wear with my picture and my name, and so I wear it.
And Olive, that was when you were 97, but let's brag a little bit about how old you are today.
Well, I'm 100.
And at 102 months or something.
Well, no, January 4 to February 4 is 1 month, and we're just getting past that a little bit.
And Olive, look at you now. Now, where do you get your hair done? It's so pretty.
Olive does it.
Oh, Olive does that too.
She does that. That's another way she saves her husband money.
Now, what's this about the corsage for your birthday party?
Well, last year,
at 99,
my husband brought home a corsage. It was terrible. He paid $25 for it. So this year he said, what would you like for your corsage? I said, Bill, I'm going to make my own. So I did.
And now what did you use for ribbon and such?
Well, I have lots of, Bill's been buying me corsages ever since when I got married, I suppose. And so I have a lot of frames that are made up beautiful. And so I just keep them, and whatever color I want, I have a corsage frame, and then I just put the flowers on it.
Well, now, Olive, this is this man. Let's talk a little bit, let's brag about him. Who is this sailor boy?
He was a merchant marines. He is my husband.
And you're newlyweds.
Well, we'll be married March the 30th of 2009, 65 years.
And this is the way it was back then.
That's the way it was. I met Bill when I was 29, and he was only 21.
Ooh.
Impossible. He was too young. I was old enough, but so we just became friends. Actually, he was a friend of my brother's. That's how we met.
Now, which brother are you talking about?
I'm talking about my youngest brother. He's not in the picture. He wasn't born yet.
Oh, my goodness. Now, these are all
my siblings.
How many?
There was another one that isn't in the picture. The second one died with food poisoning at 6 months.
Oh dear, that's sad.
So then Dad had Pearl, and then Ruth. Oh, then Opal, that died, and then Ruth, and he thought, oh my, I'm having all girls. Then he got Delmer. Oh, he was so happy. And then started in with girls again, and he had Thelma and Olive. And then we started in with boys, and we had Clarence. That's the one sitting in the lap.
The little bitty.
And then Alfred. So we had 9 children, and I was the 6th one.
Oh, that's kind of middle.
Yeah, that kept me from getting too spoiled.
Now, when you say Dad, wasn't there a mom involved in all this? One mom or more?
Just one.
Because you said Dad this and Dad that, but...
Well, when they were married, oh, I should have brought their wedding picture. She had these little mutton leg sleeves. She made her wedding dress. Dad was a tall one. Mother was a short one. He could put out his arm and she could walk under it.
Well, maybe you'll bring that picture and we'll just cut it right in this interview.
That'll be fine.
You know the way here to Better Life Television for a special reason. You've been here before.
Yes.
How many, you were supporters of Better Life Television when it came to Southern Oregon, weren't you?
No.
Long time ago.
Bill was.
Oh.
Bill started being a cameraman when they were located at the school before we moved over here.
Right.
And he drove in from Cave Junction.
Right, Cave Junction's home, right? You lived on a ranch out there?
We had 20.5 acres, and the river Illinois River run right through our place. It was a beautiful place.
And did it flood and get
No, oh no. We were up on there was 2 levels. We were up on the upper level. There was a time, I understand, where the lower part flooded, never the upper part.
Ah. Well, now, you've left out one part, and I'm going to push your remembrance, because when we're talking about Bill and his volunteer work, you are a genuine nurse. So I brought you a little stethoscope.
Yes.
I don't know, but what did you do with a stethoscope?
We put it in your ears, but I've got hearing aids in there now.
Okay.
And then you had a cuff, of course. And this is just part of it.
And the reason that you were doing this is?
Well, yes, I can't read it anymore, and I don't.
You went along with Bill.
But I have a stethoscope now. I have a one that has big letters, and I can take my own blood pressures.
That's what I wanted you to say about the blood pressure.
Yes.
You went along with Bill for years?
Well, when we started, in the beginning, I didn't go with Bill.
Okay.
I volunteered. I thought I would be a teacher's substitute, but there was no opening. And they had just started a new program called SHAPE. And I'm not sure it was senior health something. And so I sat in the hall. I took the blood pressures, and I was able to advise people, for simple things. If I thought the blood pressure was too high, I'd tell them to go to the doctor.
Now, at this time, you're probably only 80. Is that right?
Well, let's see.
About 80.
I was in my 80s. We moved from Cave Junction, and I was 82. And then a year later, so I was probably 83.
I'll tell you, if you think rocking chairs got you, You listen to this lady. I want to show you what she did when she was a girl. And this is before Bill came into your life, right? She went to nurses training where, Olive?
At the Portland, it's called Portland Adventist Hospital now, but it was called Portland Sam.
And this is really neat. I mean, those days you wore nurses' hats.
Yes.
Same hairdo.
Yes.
But Olive, why nurses training? Why did you choose that career?
All right, I'll tell you. I wanted to be a teacher.
Oh.
But it was during the Depression. I graduated in 1929, and that's when people were jumping out windows.
Why out windows?
And so there was no money for me to go to college, out of the question. We had a neighbor lady, and her sister was a nurse. And she came over, and she said to my sister and I, Thelma and I, there were just 2 years between us, she said, why don't you girls go into nursing? You can work your way through. Wow, that was for me. So she went in first, and then I worked for a year to get my entrance fee. It cost my sister $50 entrance fee, and by the time I got there, it was $75, and then you worked the rest of your way through.
So you had an education because of your hard-working hands. You learned at the same time you worked in the field of nursing, and then you'd go to school?
Well, what you do in those days...
We're talking 19 and 20?
I graduated in 1933, so I went in 1930. It was a 3-year diploma course. I had learned to work before I got there.
Doing what?
Housework for women, for other people. And I had learned to cook. I had learned to sew, but not for other people. Take care of kids and do housework.
What happened to all this money that you earned that way?
Well, I'll tell you, I was top wages because I was pretty skilled. Before I went in training, I got $50 a month.
Living in?
And my room and board.
Living in a home?
Yes.
And from what age was that?
Well, I graduated when I was, I went in about 22 or 3 from high school. And then I went into nurses training at 24.
But you were...
No, I graduated when I was 24.
But you were already, so this you were doing when you were just a kid.
Yes, I started working when I was 15.
Doing what?
Working for women, taking care of doing things for them. What I did in the wintertime, I worked on the edges and went to school. In the summertime, I worked full-time. That gave me enough money to buy my clothes for the next winter. My folks didn't have the money to support me, so I supported myself.
From 15 on,
yes,
you were supporting yourself.
Yes.
Now, are you 15 here? This is the loveliest birthday card I've ever seen. This is little you.
Melissa Hurd made that. I mean, Melissa Ross. She's Dr. Hurd's daughter. I was about 55 when that was taken.
Ah, and this one in the middle?
Sure. Oh, that's in the recent years, probably in my 80s, 90s.
I just love that. The pictures that you brought of you, well, the swimming suit girl. What did you say about wearing a swimming suit today?
Well,
that's pretty racy.
This was taken on the Toutle River.
Oh.
This was before Mount St. Helens erupted. This was covered over, so we don't have Toutle River anymore.
Uh-huh. So are you from up in the Portland area?
I was working at the hospital, county hospital, Kelso, Washington, and that was not far from Mount St. Helens.
That's a pretty racy swimsuit, if you
Yes,
ask
isn't
me.
that so?
And you partied on the up there. Now, you then got this nurse's, you know, that's a lot of legs showing
Hand
for
them to me first, and I'll tell you what they are.
That's a nurse's uniform sitting on
Oh, well, that was before I was married. Now look on the back, and it'll tell you.
1937. That was before I was born, lady.
Really?
And you were already a nurse wearing that beautiful cape over the top. Oh, didn't nurses
Now,
dress?
we wore capes, and we wore caps,
And white stockings.
and white shoes.
That's the way it was, folks.
That's the way it was.
That's the way it was.
And when the doctors came in, we all rose in our starch. You could hear them rise. And we stood there until the doctors gave us permission to sit down.
So you did Dr. Rigby, Rigby? Is that his name? That was, or was that, you're before his time.
Oh, I'm before most of them.
Now here you are with your boyfriend.
This was right after we were married. This is in Long Beach.
Long Beach,
Yes.
California?
Yes.
What were you doing? How did an Oregon girl get to California? It's a long ways in those days.
Well, Bill was in the Merchant Marines, and I had planned a June wedding with all the nice long dress and so on. But he wrote to me and he said, the orange blossoms are in bloom here, and so if you'll come down, we'll get married. So
What a romantic guy.
So I drove down, and I had to stay at a hotel waiting for the time. There's a time limit before I could, you know, get my license and get married. So I would go over to his place, and we'd have breakfast together. And he had taken on a job painting houses for a woman for his room and board. I don't know how she ever sucked him into that. She had 5 houses. And when I got married, the houses weren't painted yet. I should have brought you the picture. I said, give me a brush and some coveralls. So that was our honeymoon, painting houses.
You know, if you find that picture, we'll just add it into this TV show because that's fascinating. You have been a go-for woman all your life, huh? Whether it's redoing corsages and now painting houses, you've done a lot of things, like besides your nursing career. Give me a rundown on a few.
Well, you know, between that, when I graduated from nursing, they said, now you girls are young, you can fend for yourself. The girls we have on the staff, we'll keep them. So we were out there and things were bleak. So I wrote an advertisement in the paper, young, attractive, 26-year-old nurse will take care of children or invalids. You wouldn't believe the answers I got.
Yes.
Come and take care of my dog and we'll go traveling. You know, a lot of those. But I did get a job. But before that, I worked as when you take care of children, in England, they call them nannies. What do they call them over here?
Oh, in France, it's an au pair.
Anyway, I went out to take care of Kirshner's, had the Modish Cloak and Suit Company in Portland. And they had money, they were Jewish. And they called me out, she had a bad cold. And he was going on a trip and he babied her. So I gave her Swedish massages. I took trays up to her. She just got all that she could out of me. She had 2 little children, 2 and 4. And I've always got along well with kids. So when the time was over for her to get well, why, they hired me to take care of the children. And I did that for over a year before I went back into nursing.
And that's Depression time, so you were grateful for work.
Yes, I was.
Well, you know,
And those kids needed a lot of training, and I was able to help them. The little girl had curly hair, and she'd put her mush and rolled it up in her hair. That was before I took over. I was taking care of the mother. And then other little girl, she'd had these, I don't know what you call them, but she'd scare her mother to death. She'd have one of those little make-believe holding her breath, couldn't breathe. Her mother would come and bathe her face, and I thought, oh, I would like for her to have one of those when her mother is gone. She did. And so I said to the other, I took her by the heel. She'd laid on the floor and kicking on the scream. I took her by the heel and put her in the bathroom and locked the door. And I said, come on, honey, that was her little sister. We're really gonna have some fun.
oh, tease.
And do you know, she begged, Nursey, let me out. I'll be good. Let me out. And so I finally went there and I said, now, if you promise that you'll never do this again, I'll let you out. She said, I promise. As far as I know, she didn't.
That's a fantastic story.
And then they would run with me to the streetcar and cover me with hugs and kisses. One day, this is kind of sad, I thought. Her mother said to me, now, when you go take your day off, will you tell the children to mind me?
Oh, because
they didn't mind her.
I hear you. Now, this is your boyfriend of 64 years. And this is taken in 2004.
Oh.
And next to it is your boyfriend in 19 and 30 and 44.
Where did you get all those?
Well, you know, I just go looking for things to talk about you. But this one you brought, and I think this is a fantastic picture. Tell me a little bit about this bicycling.
Well, I told you, when I was 97, my husband had been trying to get me off of that bike for so long. He wanted to get me a 3-wheel and all that. I said, nah. And I would go out about 45 minutes around the cul-de-sacs, and then I would come home.
This is good exercise, right?
Yes. The reason I did that was because the cartilage on my knees were worn out. Riding the bicycle didn't bother. So I broke my leg. I got on a bad road. In order to keep a bicycle going, you have to have enough speed to keep it upright. Well, I got through all the debris. They were building those homes for the assisted living on Shady Lane. And they had sewer lines and water lines. I got through all that stuff, but I lost my speed, and that's when I fell and broke my leg. So I didn't bike anymore. So then this is the next vehicle. This is called a scooter, and it's battery powered. And I have a girlfriend that had one of those. So I said to my neighbor, can I borrow your scooter? She had one. For go to camp meeting? She said, you can have it. I said, how much will you charge me? She said, nothing. So I took it to camp meeting. When I got home, I said to Bill, I've got to have one of those.
Okay, because you could get every place. But today you didn't come with a scooter. What did you?
Well, I have a,
You're just a whole lot better.
well, the scooter is just to visit with the neighbors.
Ah,
And this is for walking.
this
Now,
is for coming.
did I tell you I buy at the Goodwill? This cost me $3, and at the regular store it's $30. That's another way I save my husband money.
And what are some of the luxuries that you like to buy? Or do you buy anything for yourself that's luxury?
Well, I have everything I want.
That's a beautiful comment. Now, what would you say for us youngsters that are only 70 and 60 and 80? What would you like to tell our TV viewing audience?
Look on the bright side of life. Think about the good things. Keep your mind, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are of good report. Think on these things. And then another thing, I think, is to have a commitment with God.
And you've just heard that from 100-year-old saint who is, we are so proud to know you. I am glad that you came to Better Life Television. You came here as with Bill on a number of times when he's out there filming us. And now you're our guest again, and I thank you, but I never had a 100-year-old guest that was my interviewee.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, dear. Would you, when you're watching us on TV, you just remember this day, because I expect you're going to be around for quite a while.
Well, I plan to stay as long as the Lord will allow me.
There you go. You've heard it here. I'm Bernie Martin Beck saying thank you so much for tuning in to Better Life Television and listening to history first person.